What if I told you, ancient Egyptians removed organs from the body, but didn't throw them away? Instead, they preserved them separately. But why? Inside Egyptian tombs, archaeologists kept discovering 4 mysterious jars placed near mummies. At first, their purpose was unclear, until researchers connected them to one powerful belief: life after death. These jars first appeared around 4,500 years ago and continued to be used for more than 2,000 years, which raises an interesting question. What made Egyptians trust this ritual for so long? During mummification, priests removed organs like the lungs, liver, stomach, and intestines. It sounds strange today, but Egyptians believed this actually protected the body from decay. Now imagine this. Each organ needed protection even after death. So Egyptians assigned divine guardians, known as the Four Sons of Horus. But who were they? Egyptians believed these organs needed divine protection, so they chose 4 guardian gods, known as the Sons of Horus. Each one protected a specific organ in the afterlife. The first guardian was Imseti, the human-headed guardian. Egyptians believed the liver purified the body, just as the soul needed purification for eternity. The second guardian was Hapi, shown with a baboon head. Breathing meant life itself, so preserving the lungs symbolized breathing again in the next world. The third guardian was Duamitef, the jackal-headed protector. Egyptians believed the dead would continue their journey, and every journey required nourishment. And finally, the last guardian was Khebesenuf, represented by a falcon head. He protected the intestines. Even parts we consider unimportant today were essential for eternal survival. After removal, the organs were carefully washed by priests. This wasn't only religious, it was also practical, helping slow decomposition. They used a natural salt called natron, thousands of years before modern science. Egyptians had discovered a way to dry tissues and prevent decay. Each organ was then wrapped in fine linen cloth, almost the same treatment given to the mummy itself, showing equal importance. Sacred oils and resins were added next. Modern studies show these substances actually had antibacterial effects, so ritual and science worked together. Finally, the preserved organs were sealed inside canopic jars, not as decoration, but as preparation for a second life Egyptians truly believed would come. So why were there 4 jars, not 1? Together they formed a complete system of divine protection, guarding the body from every possible danger. But Egyptians didn't rely on jars alone. Hieroglyphs were carved around them, calling upon gods to guard the organs forever. Why protect organs so carefully? Because Egyptians believed the soul would one day need every part of the body again. For them, death was not an ending, but the beginning of another life, a journey where the body and soul had to reunite. So the jars were placed beside the coffin, not randomly, but ready to accompany the dead into the afterlife. Each jar was linked to a direction: north, south, east, or west. Together, they protected the body from every side. So who created these sacred objects? Skilled artists carefully carved prayers and protective spells directly onto the jars. These inscriptions were not decoration. They were messages to the gods, asking them to watch over the dead forever. Did all Egyptians use the same jars? Wealthy nobles owned beautifully decorated versions made from precious materials. But even ordinary people followed the tradition. Their jars were simpler, yet carried the same sacred purpose. Over centuries, something interesting happened. As religious beliefs changed, the design of the jars evolved too. The earliest jars looked surprisingly plain. They had simple lids, without the faces of gods. So why add divine faces later? Egyptians believed guardian gods offered stronger spiritual protection. Over time, these jars became more than containers. They became symbols of safety, rebirth, and eternal life. But what kind of world did Egyptians believe existed after death? To them, the afterlife was not imagination. It was a real world waiting beyond death. They believed something incredible happened at the moment of death. The soul could leave the body, but one day, it would need to return again. But Egyptians didn't believe in just one soul. They believed every person had two spiritual identities, known as the Ka and the Ba. The Ba was the part that could travel freely, often shown as a human-headed bird. It moved between the world of the living and the afterlife. The Ka was different. It represented the life force, the invisible energy that stayed connected to the body, even after death. And this raises an important question. If the soul planned to return, what would happen if the body was damaged? That is why preserving every organ became essential. Egyptian priests believed the journey after death was fragile. A missing body part could weaken the soul and disturb its passage into eternity. To them, completeness meant survival. A whole body symbolized balance, protection, and the possibility of rebirth. Death was never seen as an ending. It was a transformation from human life into eternal existence among the stars. And now the purpose of the Canopic Jars becomes clear. They were not containers of organs. They were guardians of the soul's second life. Thousands of years passed, and the world above these tombs changed forever. But beneath the desert sands, something incredible stayed hidden. So how did we finally discover the truth about Canopic Jars? Archaeologists started carefully digging ancient burial sites, and as layers of sand were removed, mysterious jars slowly appeared, almost untouched by time. But how could these objects survive for thousands of years? When researchers lifted these jars, they realized they were not ordinary containers. Every carving, every symbol, revealed clues about how Egyptians understood life after death. In some tombs, the jars were still placed beside the sarcophagus, exactly where ancient priests had left them. It was as if history had been frozen in a single moment. When sealed tombs were opened, archaeologists felt something strange, as if they were entering a world untouched for thousands of years. But what secrets were still waiting inside? Modern scientists began studying the jars, using careful laboratory techniques, and surprisingly, these ancient objects revealed knowledge about early medicine and preservation.
These inscriptions are remarkably preserved.
Indeed, the pigments are stable.
Check for residue inside the rim.
Clear. This is excellent. The discoloration on this handle. Yes, and the base has similar wear. We'll document this for restoration.
By analyzing the hieroglyphs, historians decoded prayers written for the dead, messages meant to guide souls safely into the afterlife. In some jars, researchers even discovered organs still wrapped in linen, a powerful reminder of how seriously Egyptians prepared for eternity. Today, these canopic jars are displayed in museums around the world. Visitors stand before them, looking at objects made thousands of years ago, yet still telling their story. These jars were not just containers, they were promises of eternity.
The ancient Egyptians believed death was not the end, but the beginning of another journey. But this raises a bigger question. What did Egyptians truly believe about the afterlife? We'll uncover that in the next chapter of cinematic history. History still speaks to us if we choose to listen. Subscribe for more cinematic history.